Hi, my name is Tori Ferrari. I'm the Center Director for Teen Challenge of Arizona's Springboard Home for Youth in Crisis. One of the fastest growing problems among teenagers in our country is prescription drug abuse. So when I say prescription drug abuse, what is it that I mean? Well, basically, anytime a prescription drug is used for non-medical purposes, it's considered to be abuse. So if prescription drugs are abused, these drugs can cause a wide variety of problems. And we're seeing it over and over again. Approximately 2,500 young people in our country every day begin a prescription drug abuse problem. And they're getting it from their medicine cabinet. They're getting it from grandma's medicine cabinet. They're even sharing among themselves. They're getting them from their friends. Now, a lot of young people think that because prescription drugs are prescribed by a physician, and there are legitimate purposes and uses for prescription drugs, that it's a medically safe high. There are three main categories of prescription drugs and that are typically abused by teens. The first is an opioid, and those are usually used for pain relief. OxyContin, morphine, Vicodin, all of those fall into that category. Those will lead to diarrhea, respiratory distress, a problem with balance, a problem with concentration, and they are by far the most addictive. Then you also have what's called the central nervous system depressants, downers. And so what those do is they basically decrease normal brain function. If somebody was to get into a car after having a CNS depressant, well, their response time would be slower. And then there are stimulants. Stimulants increase our energy and our alertness, along with our heart rate and respiration. A lot of times, you'll have a regular heartbeat or even paranoia with stimulants. The general effects of teen prescription drug abuse typically can end in addiction, an uncontrolled compulsive use of the drug. There's physical dependence, the feeling that they can't function normally without the prescription drugs. A drug tolerance. They build up an immunity to a particular drug, and so their bodies start to desire something stronger. Drug interactions. A lot of times teenagers are taking drugs together that under normal circumstances any pharmacist would tell them can put them in real danger. Withdrawal. Once they start building a dependency to these drugs and they don't have access to them anymore, you're going to start seeing withdrawal symptoms, restlessness, nausea, depression. Even these things can be life-threatening. So as a parent, what are some of the things that you can do to make sure that you're safeguarding your teen from themselves? Well, the first thing is you want to make sure that the medications in your house are locked up. Now, we think of that usually with young kids, making sure that the medicine cabinet isn't accessible to a 3 or 4-year-old, but it's even more important when you're talking about a 15 or 16-year-old. Because a lot of times they're looking for an opportunity to feel different, to numb whatever pain or to feel better about whatever circumstances they're going through. And sometimes teenage years can be a little turbulent. Also, be aware of what signs of abuse there are in your teen. If all of a sudden your teen is acting different, look at their eyes. If their eyes look different, if their pupils are huge, well, that might be an indication that they're on an opiate. If their pupils get really, really small, that might be an indication that they're on a stimulant. Pay attention. One of the things as parents of teenagers we need to do to safeguard them more than anything else is sit down face to face and regularly have conversations with them about anything. It doesn't even matter what it is. But when you do that on a regular basis, you'll notice changes. And then you can ask them the tough questions. Make sure also that you know how much of a medication you have. If you have a regular medication in your medicine cabinet and you all of a sudden are discovering that you're going through that prescription a little faster than normal, ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask those questions of your teen. What's worse is if you don't ask them and you discover too late that they had a problem. If your child currently is on a medication, any medication, whether it's a painkiller for a recent injury in their basketball game or whether it's that they're on psychotropic medications. You need to help them manage those medications. Don't leave it up to them to be taking the right dose and the right amount. Many of the young people that I've had opportunity to work with, they were on psychotropic medications. The prescription was made out for them. But what they would do is they would store up, not take their medication for several days, and then take all of them at once to get that little high. So be aware. Be part of your child's medical process. One of the other things you want to do is make sure that if you have out-of-date prescriptions, that you're disposing of them correctly. A lot of communities will have it 1 or 2 days a year where they collect prescription drug medications that are expired so that they can be disposed of safely. Don't ever put them into the plumbing system. Don't flush them down your toilet, because that causes problems for everybody. So remember, the most important wall between you and your child abusing illegal or legal drugs is you, the parent. Make sure you're spending time with your teen, asking the tough questions. After all, that's your job.